This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcast. This is where we explore the journey of entrepreneurs, business owners, agency leaders, as they share with us the strategies, the challenges, and the triumphs that have led them to secure those first 100 customers, first 100 followers, or first 100. So today, I'm very excited to tell you that we have with us Amy Atkinson. Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Very excited to have you. Just to kind of get warmed up and get everything started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you're all about, for anybody listening that doesn't know you?
Yes, of course. So my name is Amy Atkinson, as Daniela has already said, and I am really simply a serial entrepreneur. So I have got two businesses in digital marketing, but I've also got a property investment firm. I'm a wife, I'm a mum, I do a lot of speaking. I also have my own podcast called the Simply Digital Marketing Podcast. I am busy, but I bloody love it. Oh gosh, and I swear, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, good. So that is a real potted version of me.
Interesting. So, Amy, you said you have you don't just have one business venture, but you've sort of dabbled into a few, right? Can you
Yeah.
talk a little?
So I've. Sorry, say that again.
Oh no, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Oh, Daniela, you keep cutting out.
Really?
Yeah, it's like gone robot-y. Sorry. If we need to start again, that's totally fine.
Is it?
Let me try making sure everything my end is totally shut down so that internet-wise, it's definitely not mine. Hold on, shut there. Let's see if your video just basically froze and then it started going robot-y.
Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, right now I can.
Is there movement?
Okay, yeah. I've shut everything down my end, so hopefully that has helped.
Also shut things from my side, just so that there's no Wi-Fi issues. Let me see. Is it better now?
It doesn't seem glitchy now, so hopefully that's okay and it's working fine.
I think we can keep the bit where you kind of told us about yourself, and I can I'll ask you to tell us about your business, and we can pick up right from there. Does that work for you?
Yeah, great.
Okay. So, Amy, you told us that you have ventured in different kinds of businesses, right?
Yes. So I have got a digital marketing agency as well as a group training and coaching company, all in digital marketing. And to be honest, I don't know if this is going to be one of your next questions, but the reason I started the group coaching and the training side of the business was that's where my passion is. When I left corporate, so I'll tell you a bit about my business journey. And I left corporate because basically the job that I was in at the time was everyone was being made redundant in my team. So there were about 30 of us being made redundant, and we were all backstabbing each other for for 6 jobs. That's not my personality. It's not me. I was like, right, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. However, there was this little thing in me that was like, well, can I go and do my own thing? I was really worried about it. Do I know enough people? Am I going to make enough money? Because I had a cushy corporate income, which it was a big amount of money to leave on the table. Um, so I did go and apply for other jobs, and I got offered a job. And the guy said to me on the phone, he was like, "Oh, congratulations, you've got offered the job." And I was obviously elated. I was really happy about it. But literally 10, 20 seconds later, he said to me, "Oh, but for your age, you're really commanding a high salary." Now, that obviously annoyed me a lot. I said to him, I was like, okay, well, can I think about it? And basically, I went home. I was crying to my husband. I was like, I don't want to be told what I am and what I'm not worth, because he gave me the job. He knew I could do the job. But what comes with me is leadership, authority, all of the things that you need to make a team perform really well, which is why I did really well and always getting promotions before. But then I left corporate, obviously because he annoyed me, but also because I really wanted to help people who had small businesses to really make a difference to themselves and to the people that they were trying to make an impact with, their customers. And it ended up not being that way when I first started my business, which ended up becoming the agency, and even more the agency that it is now. We now work in the agency with multi-million pound companies, which is obviously not the people that I initially wanted to help. So while I started coaching and training actually in the pandemic, I really amplified it this year. I amplified it this year, and it became my priority this year to really work with those small business owners, because they are the people that are going to make a huge impact. 90%, 89%, I think it is, of the UK's income is from a small business. So you guys really do make a difference, and I know that I can help you. So that is now actually probably 50% of my entire income overall across both the digital, the property, and the digital marketing agency, the property, and the group coaching company, because it's grown so quickly this year.
Interesting. And you also run a digital marketing agency at the same time, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And like I usually sneeze and
That's totally fine. Don't worry. Yeah. So I run the digital marketing agency, but I actually run it nowadays with somebody else. So I've got a business partner. I started it myself 8 years ago, and obviously gone through the pandemic, grown, lost business in the pandemic and grown again. And now I run it with somebody else so that I can now focus on what I'm calling it a passion project, but it's so much more than that. It's just something that I truly, truly care about. So yeah, we work on the agency together, and then probably 30 to 40% of my time is the group coaching and training.
interesting. I have like a question about that, since I feel like your training and coaching goes so hand in hand with having an agency. Do
Yeah.
you have an overlap of clients, or are they kind of like divided into different buckets?
No, they're not. There's, for some things, there is an overlap of clients. So by overlap, I mean somebody will start group coaching and they'll start coaching and training with me. Then they'll start working with me directly one to one. And then they might move up to the agency, which is effectively the done for you side of things. Um, but that's the only overlap, is that they might move from one business to the other, all based on their income and their growth.
Very interesting. And Can you tell us a little bit about, when you got started and how everything was? You told me that you were sort of coming from corporate, and I think for a lot of people, it's a really scary transition to start your own thing. How were you able to actually start securing customers and clients and, starting to get leads at the beginning?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. And I think it depends on, so what I'm going to say to you now is what I did, but I'm then going to follow it with what some of my clients do, because what I have gone into in terms of my business and what I'm giving people advice on and the agency is what I used to do in corporate. So I have always worked in digital marketing, which means that I have got contacts in that industry. And that, therefore, to some people might seem easier because you have already kind of got your leg up in an industry. But what I say to my clients is actually no different to what I had to do, which was promote myself, talk to my friends and family, really start blowing your own trumpet, which when I was in corporate, I was petrified to do. I hated doing it, hated talking about myself and whether I was good or bad at something. I felt like I was being egotistical. And that is also, I think that's a British thing to do. I don't know whether, are you based in America?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know whether you guys over in the States, whether you have that same trouble, but in the UK, people hate talking about themselves. It's almost like we're allergic to it. So when you suddenly go out and you start on your own and you've got to start talking about how good you are and the results you've got, then you freak out. You have this massive freak out. And I know I did, but you have to do it in order to help yourself to grow, especially through digital marketing.
Interesting. I I think, like, here what happens is more that, I guess what you say is that I think that happens a lot with social media maybe. You have a digital footprint, and it can be tracked down to you and associated, and I think people are a little bit more concerned with how, like, a certain opinion is gonna make them look or close or, like, have new or, like, open either close up or open up opportunities based on, like, the type of person that you portray yourself as, right?
Yes, that is exactly the case. So I will give you a story around that. When I left my very first job and went to the second job that I was headhunted to. So this is actually not quite to do with business. However, I'm going to relate it back, I promise. My boss at the time said to me, whatever you do, don't be yourself. So
Fun.
you might get a sense of who I am on this podcast, where I'm quite easygoing, I'm quite lighthearted, I don't take life too seriously. And that's who I was in that job. And I suddenly moved to this other job and I was feeling like, oh, I've got to, because I didn't really know what he meant. So I made an assumption as to what that meant. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to be corporate. I need to never laugh. I need to not have fun. And I need to not swear. I need to not have much of a personality. But what that does is what it did was hinder me. I didn't then progress in my career. When I started doing my own thing and started promoting myself, I carried that through. So when I was talking on in networking events or talking on social media, going live, creating content, I still felt like I had to be quite a formal, professional person. But I didn't enjoy being that. It wasn't me. So it made creating social media content and any content really hard work. And I think that in fact, I know it's not, I think, I know so many people feel exactly the same, that creating social media content is really hard. And 9 times out of 10, it's because they aren't being true to themselves because they think that they have to be someone else. And it all comes down to exactly what you've just said, which is people are so worried about putting an opinion out there that is going to make someone irritated or not like you or thinks that you are a bit of a wally.
Well, there's so many horror stories out there as well that I think we see all the time of people sort of getting into a lot of drama just because of, like, opinions that they have or, I don't know, I guess, like, stuff that they've interacted with that has made them look bad, and I think, like, for someone who has a business, the stake is higher because it's not just like, "Oh, I got hate online." It's, "Oh, my business has just been affected because of, like, this thing that I said," right?
Yeah. And I think also mentally that just comes down to your confidence in yourself, in your business, in your services. I don't really I create opinionated content, but I also don't engage in a ridiculous debate. I just don't see the point in it because you're always going to get, and I'm never going to tell you I'm not, you're always going to get people who disagree with your opinions and they want to try and have an argument with you. But is it really needed? No. And therefore, you're entitled to your opinion. We're all living in a free world. So it's okay to say it, but if you don't want to engage in an argument with somebody, then don't do that on social media. Ultimately, that's probably your biggest problem.
Yeah. Probably, yeah, letting it get to your head because I think, like, also a lot of people will say just random things on social media just to get a rile up out of
Yeah.
whatever it is that they're trying to bother.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So that brings me actually to another question, Amy. With your businesses, all of these ventures that you've sort of been going on, what do you think has been the biggest challenge that you've had to face as an entrepreneur? How or have you been able to overcome it, or do you think that's still like a work in progress?
One of the biggest issues I've had in business was COVID, but it was also the biggest blessing for me. So I had a thriving business before COVID. I'd hit the level of success that I really wanted to hit. I was really happy. I had my team around me that I'd built. And I went away on holiday thinking that as long as we get there, it'll be fine. We won't have to come home. Nobody knew that borders were going to shut. Nobody knew all of the trials and tribulations that was going to come with COVID. But we got there. We got on holiday. 4 days in, we're being served papers from the hotel, but ultimately from the airlines to say that if you don't get on the next flight home that we give you, you are liable for the costs of staying where you were staying. So I was in the Maldives, which, as we all know, it's not the cheapest place on the planet. So I had no idea how long I might have to stay there for. So we had to get on a flight home. That aside, because I was checking my emails constantly to check which flight we'd been put on, I also then started to see client emails come in. And my very first email came from a client, and she said to me, Amy, I'm really sorry, but I don't know what's going to happen to my business over the next few months. Can we put all of our work on hold together? Now, I've got contracts in place with all of these clients, but it didn't sit right with me and my values to say, no, you absolutely have to stay accountable to me and you have to pay your bills and blah, blah, blah. It's just not me. So I said, yes, of course, no problem whatsoever. 48 hours later, I lost every single one of my clients who all sent me very similar emails. So when I
Mm,
came back, I went away with a business. I came back to no business. I had to think about how I was going to put food on the table for my own family, as well as how I was going to pay my staff. And I don't know about you guys in the States, but over here we had this thing called furlough where people were getting support for their income and what they were earning. But that didn't kick in, I don't think, until maybe month 3 or 4 of COVID. So I had to seriously think, what the hell am I going to do? And that was when I was like, right, I'm doing my coaching and training. And you have to, whenever there's a difficult moment in business, you have to take every opportunity. You have to think on your feet. You have to be open minded. And you also have to be really resilient. All of these things enabled me to come up with a new idea, come up with, although nowadays it doesn't seem remotely new, like the course and the creation industry is wild now. Um, but at the time, it was pretty new. Not many people were doing it. And So you have to come up with these things. You have to look for opportunities which you don't even necessarily think are going to be there for you. You have to be open to them. You have to look into them. You have to do your research. You have to spend time doing that stuff, as well as keeping everything else going. But I'm so glad I did, because now my business is nothing like it used to be. And yeah,
I mean, it sort of opened up a new avenue of doing something that you actually really enjoyed as well, right?
yeah,
Um, which is great. I think COVID was also definitely something that I think nobody could have predicted, and it threw everybody on a curve. I think I've talked to a lot of people on podcasts who told me that, like, "Oh, I got fired, and so I decided to start a business," or, like, "COVID was horrible, so I just, like I was in a crisis, and then I started doing this, and now here I am," you know?
yeah, exactly. I think if you allow things that are going on in the world, and let's face it, nothing, nothing stops. So if you think about COVID, then there's always something else that's happening, whether it's a cost of living crisis, whether you guys have got tornadoes in Florida at the moment and major flooding, that also happens, the wildfires in Australia. And I think, did you have some in the US as well? Then you've got,
Whereas in California and,
yeah,
yeah.
and there's terrorism, there's things constantly going on. So if you allow all of what's going on in the world to slow you down, to stop you, rather than to push you and keep you going, then of course your business isn't going to survive. Whereas if you just be like, buckle up, hold on, let's go, then you'll keep going.
Well, in a lot of aspects, I guess the people that are more successful are the ones that learn to adapt.
Hmm.
And then if you translate that to business, it's the same thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So I was also kind of interested in asking you, since you said like when you started this coaching thing, it wasn't as big as it is now, right? And right now there's definitely a surge in people who are offering coaching services. I mean, I've seen coaching services for so many different kinds of things that I had no idea you could even coach for, right? Not just like business and marketing and things like this, but there's coaching for like, you know, connecting with your inner child, spirituality. Then there's like courses for learning to do like more tangible things like, oh, like learn to get your nails done, makeup, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, with all of this sort of growth in the market, what has been your strategy to stay ahead of that curve and sort of maintain your relevance? Because I feel like with that saturation of people, it can sort of present a difficulty for someone who had not been facing that much competition to stand out.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that is becoming more and more important now because the industry is growing astronomically. And on social media, whether you're into course creation or whether you're not, digital products or not, you have to, in order to make a success and make sales through social media, you have to understand who your ideal client is. So, gone are the days, 2020, you used to be able to say, I'm a coach for anybody that creates a course. No, you can't do that anymore. You have to specialize your industry. You have to specialize perhaps maybe the income level where somebody's at in business. So, for example, I've got clients they only work with high ticket clients. I've got clients who only work with emotional eating disorders. So no longer is it about nutrition, which is a huge topic, it's about emotional eating disorders. I've got clients who are interior designers, but you can't be an interior designer anymore. You have to be an interior designer for people who like quirky things. You have to literally think of who is your ideal client? Who is the one person only? That is how you're creating content that is going to stand out amongst other people. And this is also how, excuse me, that you can start to make sales without having a ginormous audience. So I've got less than 2,000 followers on my Instagram at the moment. I've actually don't even know how many I've got on LinkedIn, maybe less than 5,000 on LinkedIn. I've got less than 200 people in my Facebook group, and yet I still make thousands and thousands of pounds worth of sales every single week through social media. But it's because I know my ideal client, what they want from me and what they need from me. And that is how you are going to stand out in a busy market.
That's very interesting because I think a lot of business owners who are trying to get sales through social think that the success comes from like virality and a bunch of followers and a bunch of engagement. But I think that's probably the goal for someone who's looking into influencer ventures, right? But if you're a business necessarily, well, not necessarily having millions of followers means that you're like a successful business with sales, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had influencers come to me with 60,000, 90,000, 140,000 followers who aren't making money through their Instagram. Having that many followers honestly means nothing to the amount of money that's in your bank account. Whereas knowing there's two strands to this. If you're in growth mode and you really want to get in front of the right people, it's understanding your ideal client. But the second thing is actually asking for the sale every single day. And there is a process, there is a structure to actually getting sales through the door through your social media. Um, yeah, I mean, I could literally probably spend an hour, more than an hour talking about it. So I won't even go into it now.
Another question that I had for you was, actually, what do you think are some misconceptions that people have when it comes to entrepreneurship, businesses, starting your business? I think we live in a society where like being sort of your own boss and having your own business is becoming increasingly more interesting to people because corporate tends to suck for everyone. Um, so what do you think, like but I think, like, a lot of people sort of think, like, "Oh, yeah, I'll just start selling pens, and, I'll be, like, the new empire of pens," and there's not, like, a lot of thought into it. What do you think is that misconception, or what do you think people more just kinda, like, gloss over when it comes to starting businesses?
I can tell you the misconception I had about starting my own business. I started my own business. Like, I wanted to do what I wanted when I wanted. And I kind of took that to a whole new level because I was so fed up of working the 9 till 5, which isn't nine. We all know in the corporate world, it's not 9 till 5. It is like any time from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. And some days I was doing 5 o'clock in the morning till 10 p.m. at night. I mean, it was wild. It was completely wild. And I thought starting my own business, I could have lie-ins. I could start when I wanted, which, yes, I can have lie-ins. And yes, I can start when I want. But ultimately, you still have to put in the work. So while you are working a 9 till 5 and you've got to be accountable to your boss and they're going to tell you what you can and can't do, you still have to do 20 minimum, depending on what your income level goals are, you still have to put in part-time hours, 20 hours minimum a week to actually see success through your business. Like, anyone that tells you otherwise is talking out their bum.
Yeah, that's true. I think, like, because I guess a corporate business that's not yours is gonna sort of give you the hard lines. Like, you have to be here at this time, you have to meet these criteria and do this to be successful. Whereas when it's your own business, it's you who's holding yourself accountable, so it's harder to have that discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, yeah, so if you've got your own business, it's not necessarily easier because I think in my head, I thought it was going to be easier and more flexible. Yes, it's more flexible, but it's not easier because you could be working late into the night because you've been able to pick your kids up from school or you've been able to drop them off and you don't have to put them in after school club and all of that stuff. But ultimately, if you have gone out for a coffee with your mates in the day, for a couple of hours, or if you've gone to Costco to do the food shop or get some bits and pieces for Halloween, because at the time we're recording this, it's nearly Halloween. I'm like, you still have to do those hours at some point. You just can choose when. So you can't shirk or not do any work. You're not going to earn any money.
I feel like some people end up just organizing themselves into a similar schedule of 9 to 5 just because it makes more sense. Well, it ends up being the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Although I'm learning at the moment, I'm learning to give myself permission that if I work late the night before to fit in with a client, then I don't start work at 9 o'clock the next day. Because if you don't give yourself that permission, then you can work more than your 9 till 5. You can work more than your 40 hours and you'll end up working 70, 80-hour weeks and it's just mad.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah. You'll get burnout and nobody wants that.
Yeah, no, and I feel like burnout ideas are the worst.
Yeah.
Like, tired thinking is not good either.
No, not at all. Like you come up with things and then you're just half-hearted because your heart's not in it because you're so tired. Yeah, just not, it's not the one. Don't do that.
Happened to me in college because I remember I used to have, there was, a couple years where I was super busy with school, and I would get, a lot of essays and homework and stuff that I had to do, especially around, finals, and, I mean, I guess, the student experience, but I really remember just kinda, going into very late hours trying to cram and just write everything, and then I would go to sleep, and, 2 or 3 days later, I would go over whatever it is that I was doing at, 5 AM, and I was like, "The hell was I even writing? This is ridiculous." Terrible. I mean, I didn't even sleep, and this is trash because it was so bad, I had to just redo it again with, a fresher mind, and I was like, "You know what? If I'm too tired, I'm just gonna go to sleep."
Yeah, you need to just go to sleep sometimes. Otherwise, you're just coming at things like a wild child. You're just not thinking it through properly.
And you're probably just trying to get it done, you're just kinda like,
Yeah, just get it done. That is it.
yeah. Interesting, yeah. Well, it's been great having you today on the show. Um, Before we go, though, I do wanna give you a space to tell our followers where they can come find you if anybody is interested in working with you, with your agency, getting coaching from you. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. So the best place to find me is on Instagram. So if you go to at the Femtrepreneur, spelt think entrepreneur, but rather than the en, you put FEM. So that's the best place to find me. Come and DM me there, follow me there. Otherwise, you can email me, amy@thefemtrepreneur.com. Ask away any questions and I'll be happy to help you. I have honestly so many freebies that probably will help you in one capacity or another, right from understanding your ideal client. I've got a free masterclass and workbook, right through to digital marketing strategy and a basic plan. If you want that, I've got that as a freebie too. So go email me, DM me, and I will send those over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I will be adding your links to the description of this video for the viewers, and for the listeners, go click the links on the video. So go watch the video too. Um, so that everybody can go in and find you. And Amy, it's been great having you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to be on.
It was very fun. So everybody, I will see you on the next episode. And Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.